Hey guys, welcome back. So last week we discussed how the market was likely going to move up into this trend line, and we were, had a pretty smooth sailing week up into this channel. So now we're kind of at a decisive point in the market, right? So again, this is a very crucial area. As you can see, every past large drawdown has been off of this trend line. And so again, the market is left with two choices, right? I think even if it were to reject, right, I'm just looking for a move back down into previous support. I don't think in the first 3 months, as you can see here, this has established itself as a pretty solid demand area, right? So what I'm looking for is I want to see, right? Is it going to get rejected, come down, test demand, and then move higher for this target? Or are we, actually finally going to break out of this downtrend, right? If we do break out, it should be a pretty straightforward kind of movement, right? For the next 3 months. I think bullish or bearish version, I'm still, relatively bullish for the first 3 months of the year. And then I start to get very bearish, right? For the larger C wave down. So again, it's kind of has to decide, right? Would be the start of the wave C, versus here it would still kind of, if it does reject, you would still kind of be in that B wave, right? This purple B wave, right? Come down for that C wave before it commences the B wave. So it's kind of what I am watching broader picture. I think since May of last year, this zone at 3750 has been established as pretty solid support. So until that breaks, there's been a lot of sentiment that, the market has rebounded and placed its low for the year. So yeah, just because of mass sentiment, we could kind of see this C wave, come down in this B wave before we push higher. With that being said, right, we discussed the dollar and how it moved below 104.3, likely bring down to 101. We're almost in the 101 area, right, which was the previous level of support. So it will, again, kind of be interesting to see if do we bounce at that 101.4 area, because the equal legs target, as you can see here, for this megaphone pattern is about 99.5, and you can see a rising moving average, right? So I think this 99.5 would kind of be a better, target for a larger scale bounce. I do think we do bounce off this area, but it's a question of how high is it going to bounce, right? So something like this is still kind of what I'm seeing for the dollar, right? Let's kind of see how that pulls through. Wait, I should come down, bounce, right? Have a small move before a larger move up. So that's kind of what I am looking bigger picture, because if we go to the weekly chart of the dollar, right, we know that it broke a multiple year downtrend. It, went sideways, had to move up. So are we just coming back down, right, to test previous level of demand? Dollar bigger picture. If I were to draw a trend line on the dollar, you can see that this line right here, right, is kind of where the long-term trend line is, kind of in this uptrend, right? You can kind of see why the dollar rejected in this area. If I draw a line this way, you can see we're kind of in this channel, right? So bigger picture, what I am, kind of looking for is, will this hold and will the dollar start a new trend? And that would kind of, be the end of the kind of like this C wave, right? Kind of be the end of this B wave in equities, right? For the C wave down, dollar again, moves back up that channel. So bigger picture, that is kind of what I am watching, right? We go to the chart of the 10-year that's been progressing as per, this trend line where we expected to move up, then a rejection. So now again, kind of a crucial point, right? The yields do break down, then XPX probably, breaks to this trend line. The yields still, kind of consolidate in this area, then we could kind of have that C wave down. So bigger picture, that's kind of what I have got for the market and kind of the key indicators. Wix, as we know, is kind of useless, but we can still, kind of take a look at it and see what we got, right? We were expecting a move down to this purple trend line, and Wix is actually on this purple trend line. I've had it drawn for like 3-4 years, right? And you can see why, right? I'm on the weekly chart. So yeah, it is kind of at a crucial trend line. If Wix is to bounce, it has to, kind of bounce off this level. So could kind of be, the start of a bearish week if Wix were to have a bounce. But if Wix does break this, area at let's say 19, right? Then it honestly has no support, at least $11. So that could fuel a very wide equity rally. So just something to keep in mind. Not a huge fan of the wicks, but yeah, let's look at TSM now, right? For TSM, the reason I have puts for this is I do think TSM is coming up into resistance. If it goes, probably goes as high as 91, but I do think that it will reject, come down to test this lower level of demand, at least at 80, right? A more bearish scenario, we go down to like 70. But yeah, I do think that TSM, kind of has some kind of consolidation at least before it continues higher. So it's the reason I have, kind of TSM on this week's watch list. The next one I have is Costco. Again, the reason for that, it bounced off of demand. This is again kind of the triangle it is in. It's broken back into the triangle. So if it were to hold, right, as long as it holds over 478 in this channel, it should have a pretty, kind of clear path up to 523. So, that could make a nice move if, the market is in for a bullish week. Costco could primarily, benefit from such a thing, right? So the next one I have is TWLO. Again, the reason for that is it did have a nice breakout, right, of this channel, and it is consolidating properly. So as long as it, kind of breaks over this 54 or 55 region, it does, it does have a gap to fill. As you can see here, kind of an empty space. If it does have a bullish intonation, it should easily be able to fill that 65 gap. Kind of why I had TWLO on this week's watch list. Again, another interesting one is OXY. The reason for that is, again, on the monthly chart, this is where we have a major, where it's kind of gone sideways, right? Major resistance level till it breaks 74. It's not really bullish, right? And you can see for weeks, we've kind of just been distributing, broke this, rising wedge. Now, are we going to, still consolidate? Or is it going to start breaking down? So this would be a very good watch, for the next 3-4 months. If you're looking for a short, is when it breaks this, this 58 is the most important level, right? For now, it could reject and come back down to 59 and still go sideways. But yeah, when it breaks this 58 level, it's gonna, free fall down to 45. So yeah, kind of just keep your eye on OXY. Could prove to be a pretty nice short later on, or even if it were to break this week. So the last one I have is Snow, and again, it's based on a trend line, breakout, right? You can see this is kind of where Snow has rejected in the past. So this could be a good bullish or bearish move, right? We know Snow has an inside week. So Tuesday today, right, should kind of have a decisive move up or down, right? If it's up, then I think it continues up. If it rejects and comes down, then I think Snow comes down to fill this gap at 124. So it should make for a nice move either way. So that's all I have for this week. I hope you have a great trading week.